Fundamentally, I'm an artist who makes their sculptures move. I do kinetic art, so I'm not, you know, a roboticist as such. It's sort of random way of going about things, and it is definitely my way, and maybe not the way that someone else might do it. I was working on restoring a robot called Saigon, which was the first foreign humanoid robot to come into England. And I was just halfway through restoring that, and I know the Science Museum wanted it in the exhibition. And then Ben Russell contacted me to do a complete exact replica of Eric, and said, was I interested in doing it? And yeah, I thought it was a challenge, and I went for it. And I think the hardest thing's going to be making it an exact replica, because some bits as an artist, I quite like to change, because some bits to me aesthetically don't look right, but I will keep it exact for the sake of the project. And yeah, it's going to be a challenge. This is stage one, and it's basically the armature stage, where you build the main frame and basically the robot skeleton, and this involves making it sturdy but lightweight, and putting in these motors, which are called linear actuators, and they're all 12 volt, which keeps it nice and safe, and they're nice and quiet, do a smooth job. So this is the arm. They're normally used for things like hospital beds or dentist chairs, where you need sort of smooth, quiet motion. In fact, sometimes they're used for like even just opening windows you can't reach. And I like them because they're 12 volt and they're pretty powerful. And I tend to shy away from mains voltage, because it's too dangerous for me. And this one here, which will be controlling the head, this is a radio control servo, which would be normally used for sort of steering a radio controlled car or something like that, or maybe aeroplane wings. These two big motors here, they have to take all of Eric's weight, and they're there to make him stand up. And they're quite slow, but they're very powerful because he's got a lot of weight on him. So they sort of come up to here, and he stands up like that. This one here is his torso, and that straightens his back as he stands up. And these two here are going to do his arms. I'm going to show you in a minute, and these ones do his elbows. So this should raise the arm up and down. So looking good. And this should bring the elbow in. So this is another good thing about 12 volt, is you can't really electrocute yourself. That's all smooth. And on the battery charger, why I use this battery charger is because it's got a little amp meter in it, so it tells me if there's any sort of resistance that's going to cause a problem later on. See if it goes down again. Beautiful. Everyone has their different ways of working, don't they? I mean, some people draw it out meticulously on paper and work that way, and they're happy working that way. But for me, I do everything by eye. This is the head. This is the basic eye movement. This is another radio control servo, and this moves the eyes from side to side. And we're going to have LEDs in here, so they'll be lit up. And the mouth area is sort of here. And we're going to have another sort of sound to light LED system here, which means he'll flash when he speaks in time with his voice. I think the original one had sparks coming out, but I think we're not going to do that because it's not particularly appropriate for the exhibition. But yeah, so this is the eye mechanism. It's almost like a sort of radio controlled car sort of steering setup, where it just sort of moves. These would normally be the wheels, but I'm using it to turn the eyes. And then I've sort of tried to get a basic sort of bone structure for to put his head, to put his sort of the aluminium on, and it's tricky because I don't know if you can see, but like he's got this. They've sort of given him a jawbone, which is weird, and then this other bit of neck comes up the back there. So yeah, I have to redo that a couple of times. Spin the head on here, and you can see how it's kind of starting to take form, the whole robot. And I've got ideas of the sort of character I think that will emerge out of the build in the end. And I mean, Eric was described as the quintessential gentleman, I believe, English gentleman. So I imagine he's going to be quite a sort of dignified character, which means I won't be giving him any shakes. And yeah, he's meant to be very sort of polite and rather posh, I believe. So yeah, we'll see if he keeps that regal touch. So we've had the workshop for about 15 years now, and it is a great feeling. You come in the morning and you close the door behind you. I just love being in that frame of mind, sort of shutting the outside world away and just getting creative. It's a great feeling, and it feels a real sort of privilege to be able to do that on a daily basis. For Eric's basic movements, I use 12-volt linear actuators, and they simply push in and out, so you can use them for your arms going up and down, elbows moving, etc. Once Eric's all wired up and ready to go, you run through each motor, test that it's all working, and then you open up this program called VSA, which is where you program the movements in a sequence, which normally involves moving a few motors all at the same time and getting their timing exactly right. I'm guilty of taking my work home with me. I sort of have a lot of sort of waking up at 4 in the morning and sort of plotting and working out how to do things, but I don't actually mind it because it is quite a good time to do it. And yeah, and by the time I have breakfast, I've sort of worked out what I'm going to do that day. So the next stage is the stage that I'm probably most uncomfortable with. It's not something that I've done before, and I know that it's a kind of process of trial and error, which means because I haven't got any real drawings to go by, it's all going to be done by eye, and it's going to be my interpretation of how I see that piece of Eric. The process will involve getting a bit of card and covering Eric in the piece of Eric that I want to cover with the aluminium, fitting the card, cutting it out, laying it onto the aluminium, cutting the aluminium out, then offering the aluminium up onto Eric, and just keep on taking it on and off and trimming it and cutting it until it fits and looks right. So the next bit is just getting rid of the sharp edges. So use one of these just to round them off. So now you have to bend it into shape. And this is quite a haphazard procedure because it's just completely random, to be honest. So I get a rough idea of where it's going to bend. And then you add the frilly bits at the end to cover the rough edges. Right now he's still metal, I think, and when he moves, you'll see a little bit of soul. So this is the Rapu unit, which I guess is kind of Eric's brain. It's where I program all the movement sequences into him, and we can trigger them independently. And it also has his voice in it. And yeah, it's a very simple unit that I use in most of my robots, actually. It runs on DMX or independently, depending on what you want to do with it.
Oh, hello there. Oh, this body feels different. I'm all full of wires and motors and fancy 21st century electronics instead of pulleys and gears from the 1920s. Right, where was I? Oh yes, hello. My name is Eric and I'm thrilled to be alive.
Morning all. I'm just polishing Eric before the transport comes to pick him up and take him to the London Science Museum. Yeah, he's off today, and we're going to miss him around here. There was enormous pressure to get it right. You know, it is a replica, and it had to look like him and function like him. And I think, you know, especially members of the family from the original creator, you know, they wanted it to be the same and be good, and hopefully, you know, I've done it justice. Being a robot builder to have helped create the original robot is quite something. Yeah, I've been here 15 years, and within those 15 years I've created over 20 or more robots, and yeah, it's always good to see one finished.